Welcome to Victory Week of the Jets stream. Finally, after 2 weeks, after 2 long weeks.
For sure.
Honestly, I mean, the best thing that could have happened here was that, like, Monday and then 6 days later, quick turnaround, and Jets get a W. Scored 24-17. And Nashville was an outstanding city. Back here from Nashville, just got back Monday night. And I tell you what, I know it's like all over the friggin' stream, all over the internet and stuff like that about Jet fans taking over. The videos and stuff you see online don't do it any justice. I'm telling you, that entire strip was loaded and loaded with Jet fans all across the town. There was one point in time where me and Crystal, we were like 3 blocks away, and we heard the loudest Jet chant, like you were in a stadium. I want to say that we were hearing the chant from Barstool, which we were at this little restaurant, like a burger shop up the road. I forget what it was called, but you heard it from inside the restaurant, just loud ass Jet fans. So it was insane.
It was a Jet takeover, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was a pub crawl there Saturday night. Or Saturday. It started from like 1 o'clock on Saturday and didn't end until, the last stop was 6 o'clock, but people were out and about for the entire night. Yeah, literally, Jet fans took over the town. It was insane. But if you haven't been to Nashville, you gotta go. It's awesome. It doesn't even have to be for a Jet game. Like that entire town. I'm telling you, there's like up that strip. There's probably like, and I'm probably understating when I say there's 30 bars.
Wow.
And every single one has live bands. Some of the bars have like multiple levels of live bands. It was insane. I've never been before, and I'm definitely going back.
That's awesome.
Sure. With that, obviously, Jets getting off to a 1-1 record. Came out poorly against the 49ers, but rebounded with a big win, 24-17. And I'll pull up the numbers here as we get this thing going. Ooh. Every episode, our slides don't do what I want them to do. But here's just a glimpse of the overall numbers. I mean, obviously, the offense is not where we want it to be. It's still definitely a work in progress. But 265 yards total offense. And
is this it says Jets 49ers up there, bro?
Yeah, of course it does. Again, see, this is what happens when you rush through these things. Those are actually the Clintons numbers.
I don't know if I was looking at the right thing here. I was like, hold on. Let me look here.
It's the right one. Again, slide difficulties. This is what happens when you rush about an hour before the start of the stream. But anyway, but obviously you can tell it's not the 49ers game. Numbers are a little bit more even throughout the board. But obviously this offense needs to kind of get things moving. Couple of misfires. Rodgers had Allen Lazard open deep for what would have been like a 40, 50-yard gain. The drive before the touchdown drive. It was like a third and long. He made the right read. Everything was perfect, just didn't deliver the pass. But Lazard was open. Would have been a catch right there. The rushing game finally got off to a little bit of a roll. It's one of those things like that. Rushing is kind of a little lopsided because of 2 big runs with the Braylon Allen run. And then on the Brees had a big 20, 25-yard run in the second half as well. So, but otherwise, it was pretty pedestrian for the most part. Got bailed out by poor play by Will Levis. I mean, he had a situation. Tennessee could have easily gone up 10-0, and he decides to do some stupid shit with the ball, just similar to what he did the week prior against Chicago. So, this is a situation where it's fortunate that we're 1-1. If any other quarterback is playing again instead of Will Levis, you're probably looking at 0-2. But take the wins as you can. Doesn't matter who you play. It's better you get out of it with a W, and that's what the Jets did here. Outside of this, any like big topics we can talk about here, we'll get into like the big players. And before we get to that slide, I know some people probably got a glimpse of it already, but before we get to that slide, who was the guy that came out most who would you give your game ball to?
Oh, I mean, well, 2 players, one on offense, one on defense, of course, right? So on offense, for sure, I would give it to Braylon Allen.
Mhm.
I mean, that kid came in and he just took over the game. I mean, that's what I like to see. I mean, 20, he's the youngest quarterback. I mean, I'm sorry, youngest running back to score touchdowns in over 50 years. Did you hear that?
Did not.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, receiving the ball and running with such a burst, I loved it. And on defense, you got to give it to Will McDonald. He did get 3 sacks, but Kinlaw played an awesome game.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of people not talking about so much about Kinlaw and also Solomon Thomas. They were gutting up that middle as much as they could. I mean, they held that Pollard into check. Outside of that Levis run for 40-something yards he ran that one play. Yeah, I mean,
that's what killed him a little bit was the quarterback run for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But those Braylon Allen for sure. I mean, I want to see more of this kid. I like that. To set both of them out there, both Hall and Allen out there at the same time. That would be nice.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a little bit the week prior. Like I never really understood why it almost felt like they were just trying to keep their primary players on the field the whole time with no real like Braylon Allen should have been on the field. Let's just be honest. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, yeah. I mean, Braylon Allen should have been on the field the week prior. I never really understood why it just kind of kept Breece Hall on the field the entire time without giving him much of a breather. We didn't see much of Braylon Allen. There was a few little instances where he'd have a play or two. But this game, it was a pretty even dose. Like you saw a little bit of Breece, saw a little bit of Braylon Allen, saw a little bit of Breece, a lot of changeup. In some situations, they were both in the backfield, which we talked about being a pretty interesting package based on what Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay for years and years and years with 2 running backs in the backfield. So finally, it looks like they're starting to open up the playbook a little bit more. I'd love to see a little bit more motion in these pre-snap situations. There's so many situations where it's like you watch any other team, somebody's moving at all times, and the Jets just have their guys lined up and just standing there. And it's so easy for a defense to dissect. We talked about it last week too. Hopefully, as the season progresses, more and more of that stuff opens up. Because it's getting to the point where it's too easy to diagnose on a weekly basis. And obviously the good defenses are going to hold you in check for the most part. I'll give one more game ball, somebody I think you definitely missed. You gave one to offense, one to defense, but you completely forgot to give one to special teams. Irv Charles came in with a monster game. Obviously the block punt, but he was down there in special teams coverage on a number of occasions, had a big hit on a punt that got held to basically no yards. Maybe the guy got an inch or two in a field position on that punt, but he was a monster in this game. A huge reason why the Jets won this game. Held field position in check, and that's what this offense needed. It was very lackluster, but they got the job done. They made the plays when they needed to, and that's the reason why the Jets are 1-1.
It was like a tale of 2 halves, right? I remember watching this game. I mean, that first quarter, it was dreadful. Coming into the second quarter, I'm fed up with the Jets right now. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Fire this freaking Hackett, get rid of this bum. This is all happening. And then, second half, this is all second half we're talking about. Jets came to life in the second half of this game. It was they must have had a good, they made adjustments, and the adjustments this time worked. So I praise Allen. I actually give Robert Saleh a lot of credit for getting this team over that hump. And I'll tell you, Rodgers came out and delivered in the second half for sure.
All right. So you might have some deferring conversation with me in a couple slides then.
All right.
All right. Who is up? Obviously, Killer Bees, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. We talked about them already. 3 touchdowns in this game. Again, the running game isn't where we need it to be yet, but these guys had big runs at critical moments of the game. Obviously, the game-winning touchdown put an end to it, but not until Will McDonald got his 3rd sack of the game to really close the game out. Will McDonald, let's be honest, came in the season with a lot of pressure, especially with the situation we'll talk about later with the whole Hassan Reddick still holding out and still, trying to gain as much leverage as possible. You mentioned Kinlaw. Big in the interior run. Let's be honest. Titans did not do much on the ground outside of the quarterback runs. Garrett Wilson, I think, was absolutely outstanding in this game. Just, he didn't make all the flashy catches, but the big catch he made down the sideline. L'Jarius needs. He's one of the top corners in the league and held Garrett Wilson in check for the most part. But Garrett Wilson stayed patient and made a big play when he needed to. And then the linebackers. After C.J. Mosley went down, I was a little nervous because the week prior, I feel like when C.J. Mosley was off the field, the defense kind of looked a little bit out of sorts. This time around, that was not the case. Quincy Williams is every bit of an All-Pro. He's no Fred Warner. He's no Fred Warner, but he's pretty damn close. He doesn't make the plays that Warner does, but he's all over the field. 10 tackles this game, just all over the field as he always is. And then Sherwood, like I said, came in last week, and I feel like the Jets defense took a little bit of a step back. I mean, if you can even say that, they were playing horrible to begin with. But Sherwood came in and played absolutely outstanding.
Fast, too.
Yeah.
You know what? When you put Sherwood out there with Quincy Williams, I'll tell you that it's a totally different defense. It looks so much faster on that field. I mean, this kid's running east-west, no problem. I mean, he's got coverage skills like you couldn't imagine.
He's developed for sure. I mean, you talk his third year or fourth year?
Third year.
Yeah, because Nasruddin was the guy they picked. They went back-to-back years picking a safety to convert to linebacker. Nasruddin was a complete waste. And then Sherwood was one of the guys they kept around, see if he can develop, and he actually has. Eccles played every snap on defense, and there's a couple of possessions. I mean, he's a little bit behind what should have been a deep catch by Ridley, who had a monster game this game. I mean, 2 touchdowns. And then obviously, like I said, could have had this deep catch that would have been put the Titans right in field goal range. And then we mentioned earlier Irv Charles. Any guy I missed? I mean, I think this is probably your big guys for the week.
I mean, he had that big catch from Williams, but I mean, that's all he did.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he didn't flash yet, but we'll wait for him. He's coming.
Yeah, still plenty of time.
Yeah.
We're not an all optimistic podcast, so we do have to be open-minded with the players that maybe did not perform up to their standards or up to expectations. Starting with Sauce Gardner. Here's a guy, let's be honest, first 2 years in the league, hasn't had many bad games except for the Dallas game last year. This game was a very similar game. Ridley's just a great receiver, and Sauce had his hands full a little bit. Not entirely his fault. The next guy on this list, Chuck Clark, 2 personal foul penalties. That second touchdown by Ridley, that was, again, Sauce could have had better coverage in that situation, but that's your typical man ball type of scenario where Sauce obviously had the man under control, and when there's 2 guys back there, the other guy goes for the ball, and he just completely whiffed on it, and it fell right into the lap of Ridley for that second touchdown. We were big on what the tight end position could look like this offseason, and through 2 games, it's been absolutely non-existent. I think Conklin had just 1 catch again this week, similar to last week. Ruckert had an opportunity for a touchdown. I think it was in the first half.
Yeah, he just gave up on the play.
Yeah, he just slowed down, didn't continue his route. And then you mentioned earlier you gave
Boy was going to throw him that ball. That's why.
It was just that was a situation.
He has Aaron Rodgers there.
Yeah, he just needed to keep running. If he would have kept running, that was probably a situation where he could have had his first touchdown of his career. Yeah. Fortunately, not his week. And Jermaine Johnson, I always say down, obviously, because of the news of his injury, but I thought he was having a pretty decent game. That stupid roughing the passer call was a complete and utter
joke.
It was. I mean, I understand. When I was at the game, I even had a couple of Tennessee Titans fans around me, and all of us were just like, no way, that's not a foul, not a foul. When you watch it again, I guess he kind of went under the chin. It's just ticky-tack. They gave the Jets 1 back later in the game with Rodgers. Also, hit the face mask. It definitely was a personal foul, but those plays are just annoying. It was a 3rd down. It was a stop, and it ended up resulting Actually, I think that was the drive they fumbled it. So I think it worked out for us in the long run. But still, just annoying to be in a situation like that where, they stop them, they're about to punt, and because of that penalty, now they're in field goal range. And then obviously the guy that I think we have a little bit of mixed feelings about. Me personally, I have Robert Saleh down. You said you give him props. So maybe talk me off the ledge here on why Robert Saleh deserves credit for this week. Obviously, they won. He gets credit for that. But you can go.
I mean, look where they were in the first half. They were dead, man. Dead. I mean, it really was. I mean, I was watching this team, and I was like, this is going to be the same old Jets. They're all a hype, and they just can't do crap. Come out in the second half. I mean, they were a different team. You seen it. I seen it. So that's why I give them props. I mean, and they got the W. The win is important. So that was the reason why.
So here's my reason why I have them down.
Go ahead.
It's another week in a row where this team just looks unprepared coming out of that gate. The energy was not there. I felt it was just, again, going with the motions. Where Will Levis mistake away from being down 10-0. You can give credit to the defense making a turnover. I really don't. I feel like that was a forced error on the quarterback's behalf. That's similar to saying like a team shut down Zach Wilson last year. I mean, that's not something you give a team credit for. It's them doing their job. This is a situation where I feel like the Jets really should have gone out there. And I'm not saying it should have been a blowout. Obviously, you're playing on the road, short week, all those other intangibles, fine. But just it's becoming very alarming. This team just not looking prepared. Is it still rust? Could be. But the rust has a lot to do with his decisions as well to completely avoid playing his starters in the preseason. The good teams play their starters. Kansas City has played their starters every single year in the preseason, and they've won back-to-back Super Bowls, 3 in the last 4 or 5, whatever it's been. They've won Super Bowls, and they're playing their starters, including Mahomes. If they wanted to sit Rodgers, that's one story. That's an issue I don't have any issues with. But all the Jets starters and fringe backups were not suiting up for the preseason at all. You want to call it a tough training camp that, they put a lot of work in training camps. You want to reward them by giving off for the preseason games, fine. But if it was such a tough training camp, then why is the rust still existent? These are situations as a coach you need to put yourself in front of. I really just have concerns with where this team is at. We're 1-1, fine, but there's gonna come a time where the guy on the other sideline is gonna be smarter than him, is gonna be better than him, and how is this team gonna respond in those types of situations? We'll see it when eventually that time comes, but it's definitely cause for concern if you're watching the way he operates.
I mean, the Will Levis situation, that's 2 straight weeks he did a bonehead mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That cost basically the Titans the game. You do realize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, you're right on the half of that. If it was any other starting quarterback not named Will Levis or Zach Wilson or Bo Nix or even Bryce Young, maybe we would have lost that game, right? For sure.
I guess we'll go with the game here. I guess we'll talk about this annoying and just outlasting situation that it's getting tiresome to talk about week in and week out. But continuing to hold out, Son Reddick, it's annoying. It definitely reached a point of annoyance. And I told you a few weeks ago, and unfortunately that situation has kind of reared its ugly head. But the only leverage he really can gain is a major injury, and obviously with the Jermaine Johnson update, it's not promising. But the Jets are kind of finding themselves in a situation where you're running out of bodies on the defensive line with a major loss to really your true,
number one,
your veteran edge rusher. Will McDonald had a good game. That's promising, but it's one game. We'll see how it kind of progresses. If it's he's not going to have 3 sacks every week, but is it going to progress to where he's like your primary pass rusher? And let's be real, what we want is two guys off the edge at all times, and this situation continues to drag on. There's news all about what the situation could be. There's been recent updates that he potentially just did not like the fact that this Jets opened their season with 3 games in 11 days, major risk for injury, especially in a contract year. I mean, I don't believe any of that. I just think it really just comes down to money, and that's really just it. And it's unfortunate because you have on one side of the ball, you have Rodgers, who came here and took a $35 million pay cut. And you have a guy who came here and went against his word because the Jets made a silly move, trading away their only leverage. And obviously their defensive line is a little weaker for that. But yeah, what do you think? Is there an end in sight for this, or do you think he's how long this can go?
I mean, think about this. Jermaine Johnson gets hurt on Sunday. They rule him out, put him on IR on Monday. Here we are Wednesday. I know it's only a couple of days later, but this is like one of those situations where it's going to take him a couple of weeks, right, to get into at least game shape. So we got this game coming up tomorrow. Then we're off for 10 days. I feel as if they needed to sign him like Tuesday or even today. Get him in the building. They're not going to play him tomorrow, regardless. You got 10 days. Then we got Denver. He still might not be ready. And then go into London to play Minnesota. And hopefully by then we'll be able to see him. But I don't know, man. The more and more I'm listening and the more I'm hearing, I don't know if they're going to sign him, man. I think they're just going to let it be the way it is. I think I'm hearing rumors, trade him. Who wants to trade for a disgruntled player right now? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Huff for what's his name now? You hear about the Eagle fans? They want Reddick back, and they'll give us back Huff. I mean, sure, I'll take it back.
I just don't think the Eagles in any situation.
I mean, he definitely has the leverage now. It comes down to, listen, come into the building and negotiate. What's wrong about doing that? I mean, he's not even walking into that building. Douglas said, just come here and we'll talk. I mean, that's
his heels are dug in. I mean, that's be real. I mean, there's not gonna be any change to that. I mean, he obviously kind of has made it clear his intentions are just to sit out and wait for this whole thing to fold his way. And I just don't think that's really going to happen anytime soon.
So hear me out on another note. Do you consider this an all-in Jet team right now?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
So my whole thing is you got Aaron Rodgers maybe on a 2-year window. Why don't you just freaking satisfy Hassan Reddick on a 2-year contract and let's go. Get it over with. Because you know what? There's going to come a time we're going to need him. When we play in Buffalo, when we're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers with freaking Justin Fields, I mean, there's going to be times where we're going to need this guy. The longer this prolongs, the worse it's going to be. I mean, otherwise, what else are we going to do? We're going to need more bodies. Salah needs another end. I mean, that is it. You know what I'm saying? So what are you going to through free agency, bring in, what's his name? Ngakwe, whatever his name is over there. The guy hasn't played football. I mean, whatever. I'm a little, it's getting annoying. Let's put it that way.
No, it's definitely gotten annoying. No, I just don't. I don't see it. I think we're kind of hitting that point where, I mean, it's two sides that are very far apart. Apparently,
going in opposite directions.
I mean, his fines have already reached out to about $8 million. So if you really think about it, if he would have just showed up and everything, he would have been getting a contract of $15 million to play. Jets could have probably sweetened it a little bit if he showed up with like a little incentive thing to get him up to 20 maybe. But it's in a situation now where obviously he wants more than 25 million. Let's be, fully honest here. At least 25 million is what he wants. He definitely wants multiple years.
Like top defensive end in football. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, is he worth it? He's good. Don't get me wrong. The guy's he's a bowler, 100%. But the thing is going to come to play here now is that, all right, he is, man. So here we are. We missed already second game he's missed. by the time he comes back and he's ready to roll, it's going to be by what, week 5, week 6, maybe. So I mean, that's 6 games. You're going to be 5 to 6 games. You're missing
2 or 3 weeks at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. They need to make a move or just kick tires. Is he not going to come and play? You know, does he realize that if he does not play this year, the Jets still have his rights till next year? Like, it's going to be the same.
Yeah, but he's not going to do that. He'll be here by week 10. No, he'll be here by week 10.
Hopefully,
he'll be here by week 10, but the Jets won't play him. That's where he wins.
Wait, he wins?
But
meaning Reddick? Huh? You meaning Reddick wins?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if he shows up by week 10 and he has all those fines, yeah, that's the problem. The biggest problem is that he'll have $8 million of fines plus the 4 or 5 million. So he'll have accrued $13 million of fines. His contract will not toll, so he'll still make $2 million. He won't be playing. And then next year he's hoping to get a contract. But the thing is, like, if you're another team, I mean, someone's going to pay him. I mean, that's just the way it works. Right. The Jets aren't going to franchise tag him or anything like that. So they'll be out their 3rd round pick because his playing time won't be met. He won't get the 10 sacks, and he'll be with another team next year, probably playing for around 18 to 20 million. When he could have played this year for 15. It's a lose situation. His agency, whoever's the one pulling the strings on all the bright ideas in this whole thing, just, I mean, failed their client. Let's be honest. It's malpractice what they're doing here. They're trying to get the best bang for their buck, but it's a similar situation will happen to Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell ended up coming to the Jets for a similar contract that the Steelers initially offered him to begin with. I think the Jets offered him a little bit more, but it wasn't much. Right. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell talks about it was the biggest mistake he made was not taking that contract with Pittsburgh. So,
when you miss a whole year of football, man, it changes everything.
Yeah. You know. So that's all we have here. So I added a new segment to our show. Go into some picks going into the week. Figure it might be a little something extra. So go into it. And oh my god, oh no, I did it right, but still a little lopsided here. So I had you pick a game, I picked the game, and then obviously we'll pick on the Jets what we think is going to happen. First game, Texans Vikings. I'll let you go since you had that pick. Who do you have in this one?
I think the Texans are going to bring reality to the Vikings now. So, like, the Vikings are riding on a high horse right now, but I think the Texans are going to come into play, and Stroud is going to have a great game. I see him having close to a 300-yard game, 4 touchdowns. I think they win that game like 28-17, somewhere in that realm. I'm thinking a blowout there.
Yeah. So I'll be honest here. I also picked the Texans at first, but I wanted to kind of change it up a little bit here on this one. So I went with the Vikings, and looking at it, Vikings have played some pretty solid defense. They held the 49ers in check for most of this game. Texans run a very similar offense to what the 49ers run. So this basically be 2 weeks running against a similar type of offense. And Sam Darnold has made the right reads, made the right throws. He has had some pressure in the pocket and has delivered in each of these first 2 games. They are home as well. Vikings have a stadium that's not one of the easiest to play within the league. I do like the Texans with -2. I feel like that's almost a gimme, but I feel like sometimes these lines are built in a way to kind of lean more and more bets in one direction. So I'm actually going to go with the Vikings in this one. I think it's one of those situations where it seems like Vegas knows something, because more and more people would pick -2 on Texans than, like you're saying, because it's seeing a blowout. So I don't know. Maybe that's the one that gets by. I honestly believe it to me. Texans win, but just to differentiate a little bit, I'll go with the Vikings on this one.
There you go.
I'll take the next game.
Yep.
I went there. Great time. They played a hard-fought game. It's a game that they should have won if Will Levis wasn't a complete idiot and really made a turning point play in the game. But I think they get a little retribution, especially against their former quarterback, Malik Willis. I'm picking the Titans in this second game of the week.
Same here. They do. You can't go 0-3 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, two bad losses they had. You know, they could have won both these games.
Yeah.
That they lost. You know, that first game against who they play, Chicago. That first game, they were up 17-0, and then they lose 24-17. And then with the Jets, just Will Levis not playing to his standards, and I don't even know if he has any standards, but I say Titans win this game. I say they could win, I don't know, like 14-10. You know, low scoring for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Packers come with a strong defense, so I don't see it being high scoring either. Right. But last week was low scoring too. Just wonder if, maybe Callahan gets into the head of Will Levis and just tells him to straighten the shit out, because, I mean, the mistakes he's making is just not stuff you expect out of a quarterback in his second year. I mean, or third year, wherever he's been in the league. He just needs to get these things corrected. It's kind of embarrassing that these are Zach Wilson-esque plays. I mean, he's better than Zach Wilson.
Basically.
Not saying much. The mistakes he's making are just unacceptable. And then for the game of the week. Game of the week, Patriots versus Jets. We'll give our predictions. Don't go too much into the details. And obviously, we got to talk about the actual game here in a few moments. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory who we picked on this one. I had the Jets on the -6.
And I mean, I like the Jets at minus. I just think 6 points is a little too much right now for these Jets. Man, if I had to bet that game, Jets to win but not to cover.
You don't think they cover?
I mean, 6 points. I don't know, man. The freaking Patriots are playing some good defense, dude. I mean, you got a Hall of Famer quarterback over there. Great running back.
I mean,
nah, you know what? In reality, I'm going to say to myself, I want the Jets to blow them out, like blow the lids off them. But I just, at +6, I mean, at -6, I can see the Jets winning like a real close game here too. Like a 24 to, I don't know, 24-20 game, you know?
I mean, nah, I gotta be honest with you. I think the energy is going to be through the roof on this one. I don't see a situation for the Patriots in this one. Patriots are, off to a pretty good start, 1-1, better than I think a lot of us would have expected. But let's be real, the Jets defense, if they can't figure out that the only way the Patriots can win this game is by running the ball and throwing it to Hunter Henry, then this defense has bigger problems than we even know. Just stop the run, contain Stevenson, which I think the Jets can do with C.J. Mosley if he plays, or Jamian Sherwood and Quincy Williams. I think this defense is built for a game like this. I don't see a situation where the Jets really struggle too much in this game, but I mean, we've seen what happened in the past with this team. I feel like anytime they suit up against the Patriots, you always have that vision of, if we beat the Patriots, we have a good series of games coming up leading up to Buffalo. You can say all those things, and then the Jets do something and just falter and get upset, and it's just something that we've seen time and time again with this team at times. But I just think this is a different team, different season. But the biggest thing, I mean, my biggest issue with this spread is, again, this coaching staff. If we come out flat in this game like we have, then I think the spread's going to be hard to hit. But if we come out like the way that we should, and we should have in the first couple of games, with a little bit of energy, a little bit more fire, and don't go scoreless until 2 minutes left in the first half, then it's a game where I can easily see us beating that spread of -6. I mean, take a look at last week. I mean, we came out flat and still
we
met
covered
that spread.
Yeah, we
exactly.
Covered.
So, I mean, again, I think it's a situation where the Jets should come out here and support this fan base with a blowout win, but this coaching staff needs to come prepared. It's just getting tiresome, and it's going to be that situation like a vicious cycle like it always is. At some point, this continues. The eyes got to point in one direction, and it's going to be this coaching staff. And just to recap, so I put you as Jets in this one because that's what you told me. So
No, I do like Jets.
you're changing shit up. But regardless, if you make these bets, I'm not gonna kind of say who to bet with, but if you're in Florida, you can meet this parlay.
That's not bad, right?
It's
Plus
actually really decent odds.
Right? 3 teams, throw $10, you win $60.
Yeah, I mean,
why not?
If you're depending on who you bet with, sometimes they throw a profit boost on there, and they'll give you like a little 10% smidgen on the top. So,
sure.
In some cases, 30. I don't know if you've seen that before, but
really,
oh yeah, they do that. I'm not gonna say names, but
gotcha.
Anyway, so we talked about Jets a little bit already, but obviously, big game coming up. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Patriots versus Jets home opener. I mean, that's really the big reason here why I think that this is going to be a situation that the Jets come out with a win. That energy and that, I mean, the Jets fans brought it in Tennessee. That's going to be nothing compared to what they're going to bring in a home opener. That stadium is going to be berserk. We saw what it was last year for the home opener, week 1 on Monday Night Football. This is going to be a very, very, very similar situation. Same electricity. It's still a night game. Following a win, the fan base is going to be just through the roof. This defense should be able to handle the Patriots offense, especially on a short week. Patriots aren't going to have enough time. Usually on a short week, the offense is usually who struggles. Defenses usually come out a little stronger. But this offense needs to figure it out. They need to come out with a little bit more energy. And I think this is the type of game that they do. Rodgers is, let's be honest, the Jets brought him in because of his brain. And this is a situation where on a short week, he will be able to diagnose what he's seeing and be able to operate. Love to see a little bit more creativity with this offense, as I mentioned earlier. A little bit more motion, maybe getting Rodgers out of the pocket. I know he's probably a little gingerly on that calf Achilles situation, but I mean, he said in his press conference, stuff he's been doing. He's been getting out of the pocket, making plays all training camp. We got to start seeing those plays in these games. He's settling in the pocket. He's comfortable. His offensive line is doing a fantastic job. I mean, let's be real. This entire offensive line hasn't been given. We didn't even give him enough props.
Yeah, I was going to say those ups and downs. They're ranked like number 1 and 2 in the league right now.
It's been outstanding, the pass protection. The running game can use a little bit of a burst. But I mean, like I said, it's just when you look at this pocket. What was that?
I said that pass protection right now is unreal. I mean, listen, that's all we need this year, man. Just keep him up. You know what I'm saying? Keep him up. That's another thing on this Patriot game. And I mean, I have faith between, Salah, right? And what's his name over there? Oh my gosh. Our defensive coordinator.
Holbrook,
right. There you go. Holbrook. That you're playing Brissett and Ramondre Stevenson, right? Last year with every team that played us, what they do? They stack the box. Stack the box. Dude, that's all you got to do. Stack the box. Let Brissett try to beat you. He ain't going to run on you. He ain't running. You want to stop this run game? Stack the box. That's what I think they should do. And I hope Salah's listening, right? So, I mean, I think that's their approach to this game, by the way.
The one issue I would say with stacking the box is Jets have a little bit of a liability with Chuck Clark. So as long as Tony Adams is the guy back there, that's fine. But Chuck Clark is just not fast enough. He's not making the plays he needs to be making. He's making these bonehead mistakes. He's not the guy that was playing with the Ravens a couple of years ago, coming off that injury. It's obviously taken him a little bit of time to get back to game form. Maybe could have used some time in the preseason. I know it's something I keep bringing up.
Totally.
But he's just not there yet. Should have had an interception on that one play to Ridley. There's no reason for that ball to hit Ridley in the hands and score the touchdown. But I'm kind of with him. Just got to protect the middle of the field. Between Hunter Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, that's really all this team can do. Brissett isn't throwing outside the numbers enough. I almost wonder if this is the type of situation here where the Patriots offense continues to kind of have those struggles and doesn't operate to the best of their abilities. Is it a situation where they might turn to Drake May and give him an opportunity? We've seen it so many times on Thursday Night Football for whatever reason.
Man.
Some of these teams believe.
Next thing you know, we got the.
It's a weird one.
Tom Brady Jr. coming in.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
No,
I mean, the thing is, he can be good and all, but these receivers just aren't getting open. They're not getting enough separation. And this week they play against the Jets corners, and it's not really an ideal situation for a team that's struggling on offense.
Is DJ Reed back on the? Is he going to be playing tomorrow?
I saw an injury report come out. Let me check it really quickly, but I didn't see the results there. But gotcha. He's probably listed as questionable if I had to guess. But pulling it up now.
I mean, to be honest with you, if I were the Jets, man, DJ Reed and Mosley, they could sit out this game. I mean, Echols played really good last week. And then, as far as Sherwood, I mean, I think he's holding up his end of the bargain. I mean, he ain't no CJ Mosley, but he can play. Give these guys an extra 10 days. They could use the rest,
So today, everybody was a full participant with the exception of CJ Mosley and obviously Jermaine Johnson. Which, by the way, and I know we didn't talk about it enough. Did you see Jermaine Johnson's little cryptic message today?
Today? No, I didn't see the one from today.
Put a little cryptic message out there. Somebody reported, I think it was Josina Anderson, reported. I lose you?
No, you're there. Before I couldn't hear what you said, though.
Yeah, Josina Anderson gave a little status update. Yeah, Josina Anderson gave a status update on the whole Hassan Reddick situation, this and that. And somewhere in her statement, she was like, he's been looking for leverage, and with the Jermaine Johnson season-ending injury, he may have just gained that leverage. And Jermaine Johnson quote tweeted or quote X, whatever you want to call it, that exact message and said, with like the little like asterisk for like a correction, regular season ending injury.
He's trying to push. He's doing an Aaron Rodgers, man. If we make the postseason, I'm there.
So I saw that, and I mean, I hope for his own sake, I hope he's right and everything. He can get back and everything.
That would be awesome.
It would be, but I don't want to risk it. Even Aaron Rodgers would have been a shock if he came back. But to be an edge player, you live and die by that. Kick off your heel, that burst off your heel.
Yeah. I don't think they'll bring him back, man. The doctors are too smart to bring him back.
Yeah. I mean,
I got a question for you. You were at the game, right? That Calvin Ridley touchdown. Was he touched before he got into the end zone?
It didn't look like it. I mean, I saw the replay. I mean, I wasn't on the.
They're saying he should have been down at the 2.
You got a better view of it than I did.
No, but like, did you watch it? Like,
TV.
Supposedly, they said that he should have been down at the 2. I've been hearing.
He was in. It's all good. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. But aren't all touchdowns reviewed, anyways?
It should have been, and they probably did. They probably just didn't see enough.
I'm just curious because I've been hearing this. I'm like, so how did this just leak under the cracks? I mean, there's no way.
No, it wouldn't have leaked. I mean, he kind of caught it and rolled right in. So I mean, if Sauce touched him when he was on the ground, it's one thing. I did try looking at it. Yeah, I did try looking at it because I specifically kind of thought about that, and I didn't see that he did 100% touch him, but maybe he did.
Right.
I don't know. It shouldn't have been caught to begin with, and we shouldn't be having this conversation.
Hey, listen, that was just a lucky that was a lucky catch, dude.
It was a lucky everything, but it should have been an interception by the Jets. Like I said again, the Titans fans around me were fucking all pissed off, up in arms, like how do you get that? How do you throw that interception? What's he thinking? Not even knowing that it was a friggin' touchdown until they saw Ridley friggin' running up. I'm like, what? Like, why is this guy running excited? I see him with the ball in his hands. I'm like, how the hell did this happen? Just I don't know.
Another question for you before you go. What is your take on this defense as of 2 weeks roll in? 2 games gone. What are you seeing?
They're not where I expected them to be, for sure.
Right.
I mean, 400 yards to the Niners, 300 yards to the Titans through 2 weeks. It's not what you expect. A lot of those yards from the Titans were kind of those big runs, big burst runs by Levis. So you can kind of take that for what it's worth. I think this week was a lot better in the right direction. The pass rush was there a little bit more. Those things that you were expecting to see are starting to kind of work their way through. I'm just hoping everything that we're seeing here that we're not thrilled with is a result of rust, offensively and defensively.
Right.
But I got to see more. Let's be honest. See it this week. Can they play their first for real game? This is 3 games. I know it's in a short period of time, but same situation for the Patriots. Only one day difference. They play on Sunday the first week. They play on Sunday, so this is a situation where you're going up against an offense that lacks the skill players. Beat them handedly. Make an interception.
Start of a season. I usually say within 3 to 4 weeks, you start to see that rush should be shaken off. I mean, we're there now. We're at the 3-4 week mark. So I'm thinking of seeing a better engine on the offense tomorrow. Their defense, I think, is going to be a little bit more relaxed, and ready to go fire, man. I think tomorrow could be it's going to be fun.
I think so.
You want to do a live? Want to shoot the game live?
We can think about that. I be honest, and no disrespect to
not yet.
No disrespect to the people who do it. They do it, and they get their followers, and that's awesome for them.
I think it'll just be me and you.
Personally, I just think it's cringeworthy a little bit.
It is. No, for sure.
I'm not a radio announcer. I don't need people hearing me reacting to the game and stuff like that. But
that's all good.
Yeah. Anyway,
go Jets.
That's all I got. Let's go Jets.